Hey everyone, welcome back to Gamecasters, and this is Empyrion Galactic Survival. I think I said that right. Um, so I recently picked this game up. I'm about 10, 12 hours into it so far. I picked it up off of Steam. It's been on my wish list for a long time, and it's an early access game right now, and I completely forgot about it, and it went on sale and I got an email from Steam saying it was on sale, an item on my wish list. If you have Steam, you know what I'm talking about. Um, so I was like, what the heck? It's $7, at least I think $6 or $7 is what I picked it up for, and I figured I'd give it a go. And so far, I regret not picking this game up sooner. So if you like Minecraft and you like No Man's Sky games in that genre and the open world survival kind of thing, this game is it. It has survival mode, it has creative. Also, I just noticed my webcam is absolutely whitening my face right now. It's weird, the filter's doing that on its own. So, ignore that thing. Uh, but anyways, the it takes all the best elements from those games. You have the galactic exploration from No Man's Sky. You have the block building from Minecraft in this. But as you can tell from where I'm standing at the moment, there are more than just squares. You can get cylindrical things, you can get like grids, you can get struts, you can get like all these different shapes and stuff. There's like full on hangar doors. And right now, I'm kind of building a base survival kind of thing. So I'm not in creative, but I'm in survival. I use the console commands to bring up the item menu and get myself some building supplies and stuff. Um, so I'm setting up this massive base. Uh, I would say more like a fortress. This place is going to be fully equipped, and I want to do like this huge battle scenario thing. There are factions in the game. There's a reputation system with those factions, and if you get on the bad side of them, they will attack your base. They will attack you while you're out in space. They'll attack you pretty much anytime they come across you, and sometimes you'll get hunted down. And the battles can actually get pretty big. Um, at some point, I will do a survival playthrough, but I am still learning a lot. Like I said, I think I'm 12 hours in, and wow, there's a lot. Um, the good news is for anyone who wants to pick this up and doesn't want to have to take the time to learn the mechanics of the shipbuilding and all the um, more in-depth stuff, because building a ship on here, like you actually have to like tie in connections to certain parts. There's the ammo stuff. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this is a base layout. Um, So up here you have your general stuff. You can power on and off systems at will, but you can also do custom ones. You can have signals set up. You have your base fuel. You have I know for ships in space, the pentaxid is for being able to like go in hyperspace or like warp drive and stuff like that. But then you have your oxygen, which allows you to breathe. You can suffocate to death if your ship has a leak. So, like, if a block gets destroyed and you have an opening to outer space, so you have to, like, section off your ship like you actually would have to do. You have to have corridors with doors in them that are pressurized, so if you do get a damaged part of your ship, you can cut that section off. And, and this is me getting into the depth part of this. Uh, because like I said, this is way more in depth than I was expecting for an early access game. It still has a little bit of work to be done to it, But for what's here, you'll still get tons, and I mean tons of hours of gameplay out of this. There's so much content and there's so much to do, and a lot of the problems I've run into are more with the creative side of things. There's a few items that aren't fully tweaked out yet, but there's another thing: the developer pays attention to the community. They accept requests from the community and put in ideas. They will fix bugs. Since just buying this like 2 days ago, I've already gotten like 2 patches fixing problems in the last couple of days. So as long as this has been out, the developers are constantly working on it. So they're keeping it up to date and they're adding in new stuff. And I mean I can't complain about that. Like it's amazing. I actually forgot to set my base as my home spawn. If I died, that'd have been a bad thing. Yeah, that's another thing. Like say with like Minecraft, you put down a clone chamber. If you die, you'll respawn at that, not where you spawned at when you first loaded into this galaxy. So when you first load in, you come in an escape pod, and you actually control where that escape pod crashes at, and then that's where you start off from. You have your food, you have your hunger, you have uh, what's climate. So if it's too hot, if it's too cold, those kind of things you can turn off when you start a survival game. I did turn off those things for while I'm building. I can turn them back on at will and whatnot, but just for while I'm setting up this scenario thing. Another cool thing is there are scenarios from the starting page, so if you didn't want to play survival or creative, you can jump into these scenario worlds where they're already pre-set up for you. There is a survival one like what I'm trying to do, but I wanted to build a custom one, so that's what I've been going for, and it's helping me learn everything along the way, like figuring out how certain things work, tie in together, so when I do jump into survival, I'll know what I'm looking for. Because I imagine if I was to start a survival playthrough on this with absolutely no idea what I'm doing, it would it would go horribly for me, and I don't have the time to do that. So I wanted to jump in something that allows me to learn everything, and then I can jump into survival and excel from there. Because even with me knowing what to do, I know it's still going to take a lot of time because the amount of stuff you actually do. Another cool thing. While building, excuse me, so there's a thing when you're building. This isn't like Minecraft in this aspect. Blocks won't float if there's not something holding them. So if I was to build a pillar straight up, that pillar would be fine. But if I was to go clear to the top of that pillar and start branching off to the side of it, I can only go out so far before the whole thing collapses. Blocks will actually break off of pieces if they're not properly supported. Actually, I can show this. Hang on. So let's just grab some blocks. And yeah, this is the base I was talking about. It still needs some work done to it. I wasn't going to do a video yet, but I kind of wanted to show this game off because of how much I've been enjoying it, and more people should know about this. And my next point was, if you're watching this and you have this game, or if you have Steam and you want to pick up this game, I'm looking for people to play this with. This is probably going to be a main game for me for a while, but let me show you guys what I was talking about. So I'm just going to build up a couple of blocks, right? These two pieces are holding up fine. Now here's what I was talking about. Also, yes, building is not block by block. I can do this. I can stretch the pieces out and go up and left and build multiple at once, which makes building so quick. Make sure this is attached to the ground. Well, I'm actually surprised that worked. Maybe it's because I'm so close to the ground. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. It's happened to me a lot while building. That's why the interior of this base has those giant pillars in it. Let's go up a little bit higher. Okay, so maybe these blocks are a little bit more sturdy. I've been using these for the walls because they had higher density. There it goes. Yeah. So it snaps off, and also the debris collides with objects that are underneath it. So the one block over here hit the wall. And you can pick up the debris if it breaks, and you can get some of your materials back, but you won't get the block itself back. You'll just get what was used to build it. And this can turn out horribly when you're building a giant structure and didn't realize that this was a thing, and you get halfway through building the ceiling and the whole thing goes what? So, and another thing is, which is amazing for this part that I'm talking about, you can go in here, I press in, it brings up a building menu. Now this is some of the more complex stuff, even more. So when you click building, this is your build thing. You can undo builds, you can redo builds, you can lock an object so it can't be moved or repositioned or anything like it. It still can be destroyed, but it can't be moved while I'm building. So you can lock a object or a group of objects. There's a lot of more stuff in here I haven't figured out yet, but back to what I was talking about. You go to this debug thing. You can show your center of mass. You can show your structural integrity. You can show oxygen. And you can show your airtight blocks. Now, airtight blocks is more for building spaceships because if you're up in space and you have an opening, you're going to be losing oxygen. And then you're going to suffocate to death by flying up into space. So, I'm going to show structural integrity. I don't know why lights show up as red. Might be just a weird thing. But so structural integrity, everything will show green if there's no weaknesses in the structure. So with what I have built here, it is completely structurally sound. Yeah, here's some of the more shading. So these are a couple of spots where it's a little bit weaker, but this is kind of like in a ring around the roof, and it's not a major weakness. It would be like a dark red if it was a super weak section, which the ring is more around the section where the poles aren't at, but if I was to build poles all around this thing, I wouldn't have any room to actually have a base. So for what it is, it's very structurally stable. The walls are made of a high density material, and everything else. I haven't figured out the NPCs yet. I know you can place them if you're in the building thing, but I've not really worked on those yet. I actually just finished building this wall around here, or at least getting a general concept for it set up. The wall is structurally sound. It's double thickness on the surrounding wall, and then there's a fully fleshed out platform around these turrets. And you can get all these different kinds. So there's minigun ones, there's like laser turrets, there's artillery cannons, and there's rocket cannons, there's flak cannons. There's these little player sentries. I think these are ones that I myself can control. Yeah. So I'm missing ammo in that at the moment, but I have all these defenses set up, and I'm I'm really looking forward to seeing what will happen when I start getting enemies attacking me. The first attack I've actually had was while I was building. Oh, this down here is bothering me. And they only send in a couple of sentries. I think I turned off the attacks for right now just so I can safely construct the scenario before anything comes in and attacks. Yeah, like I said, there's these little tiny spots that I'm noticing, which normally cracks wouldn't bother me that much if it weren't for the structural integrity, because I'm afraid that if something were to blow out one of these blocks and there's a gap down there, that reduces the whole thing's structural integrity and the whole thing could come crashing down. So There's a ton of stuff to this. Another thing I was talking about is for anyone who doesn't want to get into the shipbuilding aspect of it and just doesn't have the time to learn, the thing I have found out that I love is there is a menu called Blueprints, and if you're playing in survival or if you're playing in creative and you just don't want to take the time to build a massive ship, Steam has a workshop thing for modded content. You can download ship blueprints from that. These ones are all core, came with the game blueprints right here, but it tells you what resources it takes to build it. You go to the factory, you input those resources, and it constructs it for you. Now, if you put all the resources in here, the production time does go down. It doesn't actually take 7 hours as long as you put all the materials in there. So don't look at that and be freaked out. There is a tech tree, which is your leveling menu, which is kind of reminiscent of Ark Survival Evolved, if you've ever played that one. You have your factions, which there's traders, Zirax, or however it's said. So far, I've noticed you always start unfriendly with them. They were actually the ones that attacked me initially. You have your control panel, your galaxy map. Galaxy map, like I was saying, very No Man's Sky-esque. These are all different galaxies that you can travel to. I've not done a whole lot with space travel yet. I've gone up in a capital ship. When I first got the game and loaded it up, I spawned in a capital ship and I went flying around. So I haven't done a whole lot with that. I'm not sure about moons and stuff, but there's these different planets and different places in the galaxy that you can go to, and a lot of the planets you can land on. The map is the actual full size of the planet. You can choose map size when you start the game, so I think you can make the planets more small, so you don't have to have as much area to travel. It'll tell you where there's faction locations at. There's POIs, which are points of interest. You can see your base. But you can just kind of pull the planet around. Yeah, plant size large. This planet is easy. It tells you the gravity, the temperature, radiation, oxygen, breathable, all the details you need. Also, yes, weather. It's raining. The graphics are surprisingly good for this. I mean, they're not like top of the line, but it's an early access game, and the amount of stuff you can do this, I could understand why the graphics wouldn't be like mind-blowing, just because like how much is actually happening on the screen. I'm running this on its ultra settings right now in 4K on my end, and it looks good. Like, it's completely playable. I've not had any frame drops or anything. I have had a couple of instances where it took a little bit longer to load me into the game if I was like right in the middle of my base, but I think that's just because how much is actually going on here. So like loading into the game could take longer the more you build, but once you actually get in, I haven't seen any performance loss, so that's a great thing. And you get all these different tools. This is a full item menu when you're in the creative kind of thing. You can type in the console and bring up an item menu and get items. There is multiplayer to this. I've not jumped into that yet. Another reason being why I'm learning everything, because I don't want to jump into multiplayer. Because yes, there is PvP. But yeah, there's all these different guns you can attach to your ships. There's ammo types that you need for certain weapons. There's all the different blocks. Another cool thing that they did with this is a steel block. These are the ones I was using a little bit ago to fill in the gaps under there. If you click right on the mouse, right button on the mouse, can't speak, it brings up a menu of all the shapes for that block. You don't have a menu where you have to go searching for a specific block. You build that block, of that material, and then you can choose what shape you need. And there's all these different pages of items that you can just build with. And it's incredible. Like, so simplified. So if I wanted to build something out of steel blocks, I build steel blocks, and then I get all the shapes. Every single one of them costs the same amount of materials, which is not very much. I think some of the steel blocks are only like 10 steel, which sounds like a lot, I know, comparatively to like Minecraft, where like 10 iron ingots, that would sound like an insane amount for Minecraft, which I guess, yeah, you could, or 9 iron ingots makes 1 block or something like that in Minecraft. But on here, steel and resources are a lot easier to get. It's kind of like Ark, but like with increased resource spawn. So I could go salvage like a little wreckage site and have like 1,000 steel. It's super easy to get. Now, I can't speak for some of the more rarer materials. I know there's some items on here that are in the higher quality. I think Erustrum and Zascom, or whatever. Yeah, Zascosium, or whatever it's called. Is a little bit more harder to find, but I don't think you can actually make blocks out of that. At some point they might. You get these starter blocks, so you'll put a base starter down if you want to start building a base, and everything you build off of that will be tied to that block. So when I bring up... I don't know if I can get the thing to pull up this thing. So if I bring this up, everything that is tied into that base comes up on here. So you have your power output. You can set your faction. You can turn off your power. It'll show you your consumption. You can have solar power, and you can have fossil power. Solar power takes a ton of solar panels to do, but you can build batteries to store that power into, so when it gets nighttime, the panels do stop collecting energy. They are directional, so depending on where the sun is at, they'll get more power throughout the day. And it's, like I'm saying, it's super in-depth. Like, everything I come across in this game, I'm just like, wow, there's so much that you can do on here. You have your signal logics, which is stuff I've not gotten into yet. I don't know how their stuff works. You have your CPU, which will tell you your blocks. There's 136,928 hardened steel blocks I've used on this base. 27,000, almost 28,000 concrete blocks. Almost 500 truss blocks. Like I said, I've been building for a while. It tells you the CPU usage. I have a tier 4 CPU in this base, so I can go up to 1.3 million power. I think I can build more to increase that. Not entirely sure, but so far the efficiency level is 100%, and I've used like what, a little over a quarter of the total power of this base on everything that's here, like 130 something thousand blocks. Like, it's insane. Okay, so I have to actually be aiming at a block that's tied into the base for it to bring up the menu, which makes sense. So like if I'm aiming at the ground, nothing. If I aim at the wall, so yeah, 136,000 blocks. Not a little over a quarter of the percentage of my power used. And that's just the main blocks. It's not even talking about the turrets and everything else that's tied into this. The generators, the fuel tanks, the repair station, the ammo box, the lights. There's so much. I could rant about this for a long time. But I basically wanted to make this video to show people about this game. I don't think I've really seen anybody play it before. But I remember it popping up on my Steam recommended thing a while back. I put it on my wish list. I completely forgot about it after I did that. And thanks to Steam telling me a game on my wish list was on sale, I ended up finding this incredible game. So at some point, I will be doing more videos on this, actual gameplay and stuff happening. But for right now, I'm spending my time building out this survival thing, and that will probably be one of the first videos I'll do on this of me actually playing it. Will be the base survival scenario that I'll be doing. But until I finish this, that'll be put on hold. Um, but I mean, granted, in like the 12 hours of me playing, most of this building has been done in just like 2 or 3 hours. A lot of the first few hours of me learning how everything worked and all that. So, uh, yeah, I'll have another video up on this once I finish this base, and you guys can see some gameplay. Um, Another thing is the weapons are awesome, so smooth, so nice. Like, this is a sea assault rifle. Like, I've not got any complaints about this. It could be a little bit simpler trying to figure out some stuff, but at the same time, that complexness makes it more interesting to learn. Like, uh, being able to do all these crazy things. So the complexity is a blessing at the same time. Let me fly up here real quick. So yeah, there's so much. Like, you can walk anywhere you want to, and it's just insane. Um, yeah, get out of God mode here real quick. There are little like hovercrafts you can get to drive around on. You can get fighters, you can get capital vessels, you can get cargo ships. There's there's so much. Like, I don't know what else to say. So enough of me ranting about this game. I just wanted to show you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe and the bell if you want to get notified when I upload more videos. I know my videos have been a little bit more sparse lately. Got some personal stuff going on. Uh, I won't go into that yet. It's a little mentally taxing at the moment, so I'm doing my best to keep up with you guys on video games and whatnot. So before I get into the sad stuff, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.